Hello, this video from Maynooth University by me, Sally Brown, and
Kay Sambill,
is about a fit-for-purpose approach to assessment, which is part of a contribution to the Assessment for Success project that your university is doing. And we're going to ask you to think about 5 crucial questions. Kay.
Okay, thanks, Sally. Well, we're increasingly thinking much more broadly in higher education about assessment and the multiple functions it can perform. So it's really worth thinking about assessment as a matter of carefully designing things so that it's integrated as far as possible into the learning process rather than something that you think about as an afterthought. So one key question to ask ourselves then is, when we're designing assessment, is why are we assessing? And here it's important to remember that assessment can fulfil multiple purposes. One main purpose, of course, is to measure learning and provide an endpoint snapshot of what students know or can do. But we can design developmental tasks which have the main purpose of supporting and developing learning while they're actually learning something, and activities which help students monitor their own work while they're producing it. So the best designs actually give students the sense that they're worthwhile and relevant in the longer term, so that assessment acts as learning. The next key question is about the timing of our assessment tasks. So when do we set tasks? They can be both formal and informal activities which help students understand how they're going and know what else to do next. So are our assessments giving students the message that their role is to passively listen with a quick final flurry a day or two before their performance is due, or is it asking them to do something else over time?
We want to now move on to the third question of this integrated and coherent approach, which is about a whole series of questions that actually make for sensible assessment strategy decisions. So the third question, absolutely linked to the others, is what is it we're trying to assess? Are we trying to assess knowledge or content or theory or practice, or a combination of both? Skills, all those different things. Are we trying to assess what they know, what they can do, or indeed who they are? Increasingly on more and more professional courses, we want to know what their professional attributes are. So it's about the person as much as the knowledge and skills. The third question is how to assess. Kay, over the years, we've looked at least 170 different methods of assessment. So there might be a method like a portfolio, which is really, really good for enabling students to demonstrate achievement against learning outcomes, but not so good if it's something you want quick fire responses to. It might be something like an artifact that's been created in class. Again, really good to show demonstration of the skills of what you can actually do in sculpture or engineering. Not so great if you want to know about the knowledge that underpins it. Do you want to do something quick and dirty, multi-choice questions? Do you want to do something that's about demonstrating authentic learning, something that's about reflection? What kind of things do you want to do? And what we would say is you've definitely got to go and try and choose the assessment method that matches the reason, the rationale you have for doing it. You might also want to think about the right method for the stage in the programme. So you probably wouldn't use a hugely difficult and demanding dissertation style assessment in the first 6 weeks of the first semester of the first year, where students crucially are finding their feet. So we need to find a range of methods that we're going to see within a programme that are fit for purpose and fit the rationale about what they're trying to do. And before we leave methods, we just need to mention exams. Unseen, time-constrained exams, which caused us a lot of problems, didn't they, during the pandemic, actually are not hugely fit for purpose. Lots been written about that. The next question we're going to answer is who does the assessment? Now, at least 80% of assessments in higher education are undertaken by the tutor or the practice supervisor or the employer. And yet there's enormous potential for students to learn and benefit from being involved in their own and each other's assessment. So there's self-assessment, which might be just a matter of reviewing through reflection, or it might be something much, much more demanding. There's peer assessment, which can be one group of students reviewing the outputs of another group of students, which we might call inter-peer assessment. Or it might be within a group of 5 or 6 students, if you want to get at the process of how those students have been working together as a team. The only way you're going to get there is if you get students to review each other's achievement against criteria, and that can be done informally or formally. But what we do note, and what the research clearly indicates, is that when you get students involved in that kind of thing, there's much less point scoring, much more collegiality, much more collaboration, and much more working towards a common good, and inevitably less group conflict. So there we have the 5 approaches. We have the why, the when, the what, the how, and the who. And we would argue if you get those things right, then your approach to assessment is going to work really well. Thank you.